Some of the world's finest timepieces are built in this building behind me. Philips is in La Chaux-de-Fonds today at the Greubel Forsey manufacturer to discover Naissance du Montre, a completely handmade wristwatch made in collaboration between Urwerk, Greubel Forsey, and Dominique and Cyrano Devanthey of Oscillon. Originally announced in 2019 via a prototype movement, the two men behind Oscillon have spent the past 4 years hard at work to bring the Naissance du Montre to life, which they've done by using only traditional handcraft and vintage tooling and machinery. Yes, that means no 3D printing, no CNC machines, no automated machinery of any kind were used in the creation of this one-of-a-kind watch. We'll be speaking with Dominique and Cyrano of Oscillon to learn more about the background and creation of this watch, which will be sold to the highest bidder as part of Philips Geneva Watch Auction 17 in May 2023. You met Cyrano, your business partner, during watchmaking school. Correct?
That's right. We did together the apprenticeship as a watchmaker. These 4 years were wonderful years. We learned a lot of things about watchmaking, but also each other, how we are thinking, what kind of ideas we have. And I remember we had once a discussion whether it would be possible to still do a watch by hand. Only old machines, no CNC machine. Almost 30 years later, we arrived, we did it. The discussion, it was around 1992. We were on the way to buy beer. When we went there, we had this discussion. I remember still that.
Dominique, he still remembers this discussion. He said when we went to the beer shop, I remember the beer, I don't remember the discussion anymore. But our passion was always for traditional watchmaking, for the ancient machines, which kept us going also, even if the years we haven't been together, everybody on each side were looking for different kind of machines, and not with a particular goal in mind, but just for the love of the machines. And only later we came up with the idea to put these machines in operation to build a completely handmade watch.
He started to work for Omega. I worked a year for Constantin, and then I did some further studies. I studied physics in Zurich, and a couple of years later I started to work with Felix for Urwerk. And when there was too much work, too much constructions to do for me, we asked Cyrano how we came together again.
When we heard about the project, and because we worked for Felix Baumgartner, which means for Urwerk, and he knew Greubel, they get in contact and he said, oh, we have our engineers, they're working on a very similar project and then what you're doing with the foundation. And because we already had our movement, and the idea was to mix the DNAs of Urwerk, of Greubel Forsey and of Oscillon. So we put some of the technical specifications, the specialities we have in our watch, we put them also in the Naissance du Montre project. The idea came up in one of our common meetings together with Greubel Forsey, Urwerk and ourselves. And the idea was to make it more visible in our own watch. We have a very traditional look. We have a classic dial, and you see we have a see-through caseback, you see it. And what you also have is the Tensator system. In our watch, it's not visible because it's like a layer in the sandwich, and it's in between, so it's not visible at all. And we wanted also to show this special spring because it's a unique feature of the watch. And by inversing the whole movement, it was a complete new engineering, but based on our movement. But then we were able also to show the architecture of the movement and also to show this special Tensator spring and how it works.
Well, we used traditional finishing and Côte de Genève, anglage, poly, miroir, and of course we could learn a lot of Greubel Forsey. Then their standard is really one of the highest in the watchmaking branch, and that was also interesting. Sometimes we did it different, but we came to the same result. And so these discussions, how to do it, we used different tools, and so we could learn from them their way. But at the end, as a watchmaker, you are never ever happy because you want to reach perfection what isn't possible. You always find something, oh, there you could have done better, or this should be a bit more like this. But if it's handmade, that means you have to start again. And I always joke that we have a lot of outlet parts in our workshop. That means we started with a part and then it wasn't good enough and we had to restart.
The movement parts were shared. Greubel Forsey made the main plate and the bridges, the bridges of the movement, and also the steel bridges. We in our workshop, we did the springs, we did the wheels, we did the pinions, we did all the other parts of the movement. Then you can see the design language and also the decoration level, and it's a great experience, especially also because everybody was very open. Normally, everybody had his little secret at the workbench, because if I tell the secret to my neighbor, he will maybe become better than myself, and it's not good. But what we experienced here was really super open. I had full access to the decoration department at Greubel Forsey. Also, when we went to Philippe Dufour, we asked the question, what kind of polishing paste you use, what kind of wood you use, what kind of technique, why you do it like this and not in this direction, why you do it in the other direction. So everybody was really super open to share the techniques. If you don't share the techniques, it dies with you. If you transmit the technique, okay, maybe it becomes better than you, but this should also be the goal, because we like to have some evolution. Also, we have very young watchmakers in our workshop. We teach them how to do the different techniques. Then the technique will live on.